We moved to Canada 5 months ago from Australia, and we want to share our 5 tips for buying a truck camper. We have learnt so much whilst traveling Australia, but coming over here was a completely different experience. And you guys have different things that we've never seen before, like a truck camper. We have now learnt, whether it's the hard way or from what we transitioned from Australia. So we want to try and share our knowledge with you guys so you don't make the same mistakes we do. And trust me, it is so overwhelming. I am still to this day looking at truck campers, and there seems to be more and more popping up on the market as we keep researching. So I want to share my experience, try and help you guys so you can get out on the road and get to these beautiful places that we get to explore. G'day mate, we are Bo and Maddie and our dog Luna, a couple of Aussies who spent 2 years travelling to some of the most remote corners Australia has to offer. We have now set our sights on something even bigger, Canada, all the way to Argentina and everything in between. Searching for the most wild places, unforgettable camps, and everything this journey throws our way. We are chasing dreams, and this is our biggest adventure yet. What are we waiting for? Here we go. Water capacity, a huge one. If you want to stay off grid, get out here in the elements, stay away from those caravan parks. Water is such a massive thing. Here in Canada though, there are a lot of lakes, and I personally would like to look into a system that would draw water from a lake, go through a purifier and fill up the camper, but I've still got to do a lot of research on that. Having enough to stay off grid, you have to think about how are you going to shower? How do you do your dishes? And where does your water go? We personally don't drink it. We still buy our water, keep it in a separate area, and then whatever is in our tank is for dishwashing, showering, and Luna's water. So they are massive. We are very, very conservative when it comes to showering and trying to do the dishes. You guys have massive sinks in these truck campers. So we always put our water into a smaller container and do the dishes from there. And showering, we really try to limit it. You are turning off that shower whilst you're soaping up, and you are quickly rinsing off and getting it off as quickly as possible. And sometimes we'll even try and just splash it on ourselves before we start. Like really, really think about your water and think about how you want to live on the road. With our camper, we have just over 130 litres, I believe, and we're finding we could roughly be off grid very conservatively for about 2 weeks. Now that summer is coming, it is a lot easier to fill up with water and find water points. We honestly haven't been too remote just yet, so finding water when we do start going remote as we head north and things like that could become a challenge. So we'll see how that goes, but for now that 130 mark has been really great for us, and a lot of truck campers do not offer that level of water capacity. So make sure you do your research and think about how are you going to manage and what other scenarios you could come up with to better yourself off grid. Another thing that we're thinking about is a water bladder, and whether that goes inside the truck, maybe down along the back seats, just on that floor area there, maybe like another 50 litres or something, just to make sure we can stay out here in the elements, mate, and enjoy these beautiful spots without having to move on and just get those resources that unfortunately are inevitable for life on the road. This is a massive one. The weight of your camper. This here for us is a Northern Light 96 QLE. We brought this as a package as soon as we landed because we were honestly so worried about the Canadian winter, and Northern Light is the pinnacle, meant to keep you super warm during winter, and it did. It absolutely handled it. It was great. It was a fantastic winter and it was great to stay warm, but the weight of this camper, they say that it is built to go on a Ford F350 just like we have here, and this is the gas model, so this actually weighs less than what your diesels are going to weigh. Our payload is somewhere between that 1.6 ton to 1.7 ton. The camper alone dry is 1,281 kilos. That is up there. We're then adding 130 litres of water. We're then adding 40 kilos of the propane and the tank. We are then adding all our stuff, our body weight to that payload. I want to put bigger tires. I want to put bigger suspension, because that is a must when taking a truck camper like this. So when they say that it will fit on an F350, mate, it'll certainly do the job. But I personally don't believe that you are going to be able to stay within the weight of this payload of the truck with a camper like that on the back. Honestly, I think you're going to have have to look at a dually, those 450s and those 5500s. There is just no way that you'll be able to stay within that weight. I probably shouldn't release this video until we've sorted that out, just in case they're as bad as Australia and pull you over and weigh you. So in Australia, that is a massive thing, getting pulled over now, getting checked, getting weighed, and trying to stay under that weight limit. So for here, mate, we're going to try and do the same. And my only solution is to go to a smaller, more compact camper, because this is one heavy beast, that's for sure. Personally, I really want to get under that ton, even lighter if I can, because that payload is honestly going to creep up quickly. And honestly, people just do not realize how quickly it adds up, to be honest. So let's just do some quick maths. So yourself and your partner, let's go 200 kilos. The water, 130. So we're at 330 kilos. The fuel, let's just say 100 liters. The propane, 40 kilos. We are now at 470 kilos. We haven't even put stuff in it. We haven't even added our Luna, our tools, our clothes, our food, our... It adds up fast, let me tell you. I'm almost going to say that we're probably sitting at 800 odd kilos extra that we need for that payload. So if that gives you a rough idea of where you sort of need to sit, it'll add up very fast. And I haven't even started to add accessories on the car that I want to do. Bigger tires, bigger suspension, bull bar, winch, tray, spare tires. The list goes on, mate. It is very, very easy to creep up. And I personally believe, do not just go off what the brochure says and what the people tell you in the sales yard. Do that maths and make sure you stay under. I've heard a lot of people here in Canada say, she'll be right. Look, I don't know. I don't get into things like that, but honestly, try and stay under that payload sticker for your own safety. Imagine if it was because you are so far overweight that you have had an accident, maybe taken someone's life just because of it, not able to pull up in towns. I've noticed that. I certainly need to stay on top of the brakes when we're in town, just so I can pull up in time. With these truck campers, you've really got to watch your limits and do your maths, because let me tell you, it is shocking how quick it'll add up. Which leads us on to build quality. Mate, there are some very, very subpar campers out there. As I've been researching, trying to lower our weights and try and choose a different option of camper, wow, we have gone and looked at a couple. The doors are falling off. There's gaps in the windows. The floor feels soft as you walk in. The quality is just terrible. The way the lines are joined and everything like that just looks like it's waiting to leak, unfortunately. And a water leak inside a camper, especially if it has wood, it's going to be game over very quickly. And then the way they're constructed here, so this one here with the Northern Light, again, the Pinnacle, the reason we sort of went this sort of direction is because it is a clamshell sort of on top of each other, sandwiched, and then one seal around the middle. If you have the ones that have the sills over the roofs and everything like that, you are adding all this extra water ingress area. And if the seals, the tapes, everything joining this together isn't up to par or isn't kept up to a standard, that is very quickly going to leak in and ruin your day. So really, really, when you're looking at a display model or anything on display, think about it. Like, if this is how it looks brand new, what's it going to look like after you've taken it down a dirt road, after you've taken it to a few campsites? You have to think about that. If it's already got gaps and it's already got issues whilst it's on display, what's it going to be like after you've given it a test, taken it down a few roads, lived in it, kicked the board, shut the cupboard too hard, had your things inside the cupboards rattling around, rattling open, falling out? Mate, the list goes on. And really think about, before you hand over your hard-earned money, is it worth buying that subpar to get out there, or just wait that little bit longer to buy that little bit better quality of product to make sure that you're not going to have issues out there on the tracks? On to our next one. Slide outs. I have never ever been a fan. Talking about weights earlier, mate, you add a slide on straight away, roughly going to add you a couple of 100 kilos in that sort of ballpark. Plus, you are then putting yourself at risk of things going wrong. A lot of these slide outs that we see is you actually can't get in or through properly unless that gets out of the way first. So imagine if something went wrong, or it just adds so much extra stress. Well, I'd rather just have a setup that is here, ready to go, and not have to worry about it. The maintenance, keeping up to date, servicing them, that extra weight. I see the pros, mate. They look absolutely fantastic. That extra space, we've been in them and looked at them and gone, wow, it really does open up that floor plan. But it's got to be considered and really think about what you are going to be doing. If you are like us that move quite often and in and out of places every couple of days, in and out with your slide, you are really putting it to the test. And then if you're going off-road, rattling around, you've now got it. It's not a solid wall, mate, so it's going to sit there and bounce up and down with every bump you hit. And to be honest, these roads here are just as bad as some of these off-roads, so it just makes that camper so much more complex. And I know they are such a big thing over here, but getting back to basics and just having that square box without the slide, without the extra weight, and I don't know, it's something that we haven't tested, to be honest. It is just something that I really fear, because we love to try and push the limits, and something like that, if it went down, you are then waiting for people to fix it, and that's something that I don't want to take the risk with personally. This is something that we are learning every day about: airflow. These campers really need it. We've just done a winter, and let's just say we struggled big time. We're trying to get the airflow through, keeping the windows open to still let the airflow, but trying to stay warm. It was really, really difficult. And we sort of had to be shut up to be able to keep the heat in. And we were already going through propane, still trying to keep the windows a little bit more closed and insulated, that we just didn't really want to have them open and let that airflow come through. But it's really cost us, which was certainly a big mistake on our part. But a lot of vans over here, whether it's truck camper, caravans, everything, it seems to be a maxi air fan that is used, and they do seem great, but for us, they're very noisy. They've also got rain sensor, and that will also shut when it snows. So as soon as that gets wet, that little sensor, it's going to close, and you've already lost your airflow, unfortunately. So for us, we're actually going to go back a little bit more simple, something that we use in Australia a lot, and we are going to look at installing some Sirocco fans or a brand thereof in that similar fashion, just so we can still twist it where we need to, point it up and down. They just move around a lot more, and they use barely any power. They are absolutely fantastic, a lot quieter. You can put timers on them. They are just a lot better for trying to get that airflow through and around your van. Plus, if it rains or snows, you don't have to have it open and it won't close on you, circulating that air within the camper. So that is something that we have to still look into. The Maxi Air fan has been good. It's sort of worked. I hate that it's also situated on the roof, so you're taking away roof space for solar and the likes, but I don't know. It's certainly a product in that regard that I'm not sold on, but to get airflow throughout the van, the only solution I've sort of got is trying to do more computer fans, put them in certain areas to get them through cupboards. So you drill like a hole into a cupboard area, have it all connected, and then that would suck air through into that cupboard to create that airflow. And then the Sirocco fans, they're super easy, super practical, and they can move around and get that airflow wherever you need. So if you are hot, you can have it actually sitting there blowing on your face or something like that, mate. It's a lot more simple, a lot more basic, and you can twist it to where you need it and get that airflow within the van. Something that we just do not see here. It's absolutely blows my mind. But really consider that airflow when you are looking at these truck campers. Think about what windows are going to let that airflow through, whether it's a window at the front, the sides, how the back door opens, whether you've got the hatches on top or this maxi airflow to just circulate that air. It is something to seriously consider, because the condensation buildup happens really quickly. We've found in those negative temperatures, mate, we certainly found that out very quickly. Well, guys, that is 5 tips that we are learning the hard way whilst living here in Canada. Please let me know if you have a few more. I've also got some more. Let us know if you would like a part 2 of this, and we'll hopefully bring it out in the next couple of weeks and just share our knowledge as we keep learning and traveling here in Canada. This mission has been absolutely fantastic, and we can't do it without you. Your support means the absolute world, and we just want to see people get out there, not waste their money, and be able to enjoy and have these experiences just like we get to bring to you. And if we can pass on our knowledge or share our thoughts, mate, that is absolutely priceless to me and everything we've set out to achieve. If we can help one person, I have done my job. You are an absolute bloody legend, and hopefully I'll catch you next week for part 2.